All right, Todd, you want to go ahead and mute people other than Sydney and I, please? There's Sydney, big on the screen.
Hey guys, sorry, my room's really messy.
That's a lot of shit.
All right, I'm back. Sydney, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sydney VanOvermeiren, former Bullet. We're happy to have you today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How you doing? Are you back here in Illinois?
I am back, yeah.
Yeah, when did you come home?
I don't know the exact date. It was right like in the middle of our spring break. Some of my friends before, like right after they announced all this, we went to Panama City because it's like a 2-hour drive. So we spent a couple of days there and then I came home from there.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk a little bit about your swimming career as you started here and then headed up towards college. And then I'm going to leave a lot extra time and kind of let our participants talk to you a little bit and ask you questions.
Okay.
After you do so, how old were you when you started on bullets?
I want to say 7 or 8. I could be wrong.
Wow. So you started early on bullets. You were a lifer.
Yeah.
I like that. Who was your first bullets coach?
Oh, God. I think it was Nancy.
Oh.
Yep.
Very nice. And then do you have a favorite memory of your first year with bullets? Like a favorite, I'm an 8 and under swimmer memory?
Well, we were at Provena, and I remember we had there was like an underwater challenge, and we got candy when we went 25 underwater. That was my highlight.
That'll do it. Nice. So from there, as you moved up the ranks a little bit, do you remember when you got your first regional cut?
I don't remember first regional cut, but I remember first JO cut.
Okay, first state cut. Tell us about that.
It was at St. Charles, and it was in the 200 IM.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. How old were you then?
9 or 10. I really should have brushed up before this.
That's all good.
Said you were 9.
Okay, thank you.
So that
Yep.
voice is Coach Kelly, and I believe she was your coach at that point.
Yes.
Is in the silver groups. So at that first JOs, was that the only event you swam? The first state troop state? Do you remember, Coach Kelly? You could chime in.
Yeah.
I don't remember so much about 9. I know 10. By age 10, she was a stud.
Nice.
State champ.
So state champ. So Coach Kelly, was that because of all talent, or did she start working out? Did she start to work hard at that young age?
She was a very hard worker at that age.
It was coaching.
Yep.
It was all coaching. I get it.
Or she worked her butt off all the time.
So how old were you when you moved to the gold group? Were you 11?
Yeah, I think so.
And at that point, your main coach was Todd?
He was.
Was it Todd? Was Glenn there at that point too?
Glenn wasn't there yet. It was just
No. So tell us about the difference going from Coach Kelly to Coach Todd.
Kelly was she was soft-spoken, very quiet, calm. Todd was quite the opposite.
I'm loud. I'm not calm, and wow.
Depends.
But it works.
I'm so glad
That's
I'm
fair.
on this call.
That's fair. Okay.
but something worked, because by the time you're 11, 12, I know you're swimming fast. I think that's right around the time I came to bullets. 13, 14, I remember going to meets and you had a habit of swimming really fast at night. Did you also go to these bigger meets and swim fast in the morning?
No, it was always the fast at night part.
Can you expound on that a little bit?
I've always had that problem. I'm trying to work on it in college because you can't go slow in the morning and make it back. But yeah.
So, first state cut, progressed to senior state. How old were you when you got your first NCSA cut? Your junior national cut.
13.
13. Did you start going to NCSAs at that age?
I did.
Do you remember your first experience in Orlando?
I do. I was in 7th grade, and I was really scared. But I was super excited too. It was fun.
What was scary about it?
All the older kids.
I'm sure. How'd you do it your first one? Do you remember?
I remember we came right off of age group state, so that was like a hard turnaround for me. I don't think I did super great. I can't remember. No.
Right. Right. So sometimes got to take your lumps at your first big meet.
Yeah.
So that was 12, did you say?
13, I think.
13.
Yeah.
All right. So I remember 13, 14. 14, I think, was 2015. Is that right, Todd?
14
summer
was
2015.
Was summer of 2015.
Right. So I remember a morning breaststroke that was really good. You have a 200 breast long course in the morning that was really fast.
Yeah, I think I dropped a couple seconds, and then night was a whole different story.
Kind of flip-flopped on that meet, huh?
Yeah.
So at that point, you were pretty close to Olympic trial cuts. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know there was, and I don't remember the outcome of this. I know at that meet, there was a question. It was 2 fly and 2 breasts on the same day. And it was a debate whether or not you were going to send the 2 fly at night. I don't remember if you did that or not.
I think I did. No? Didn't?
No.
You're shaking your head? Oh, okay.
No.
I didn't. No.
No, we were going back and forth. That would have been, was it 15? Yeah, I think it was 15.
Yeah,
that was your last state. That was your last state meet. That was your last age group state meet.
Right.
So I mean, I guess to explain it, Sydney had swum short course at age group state and broke the state record short course in the 200 breast.
That's right.
I think you went 214. 214 when you were 14. 213. 213 when she was 14 in the 200 breast. And so when we went to age group state and you know, we've obviously had a couple of these calls and we've talked about it. You know, the opportunity to qualify for trials are limited, and she swam well in the morning, but it wasn't a she's about to make trials type swim, but she swam well in the morning. And the 200 fly, I think you were seated, if I remember, you were seated like 3rd after prelims, and you were seated 1st in the 200 breast. And they were back to back, and we were going to have 25 minutes, and breaststroke was 2nd. And so it was at the point where, you know, she and I sat down and we talked, and it was, you know, we can do this and understand that we're giving away, you know, an event that you're really strong at, 200 fly. And like I said, I think she was 3rd, but I want to say her best time was going to win it. Like she was a really good 200 flyer, even though we're talking about breaststroke. She was a very strong 200 flyer because she just never fell apart. And so she swam the 2 breasts, and then I guess I'll leave it there, and you can talk about the 200 breast in finals, or do we not want to talk about that one?
It's been long enough. I think
it's been long enough. Okay, so Sid swam the 200 breast in finals, and I could honestly say it was probably the most perfect 190-meter breaststroke you've ever seen. And I mean, she was on that cut. That Coach Glenn and I were there, and we were losing it. We were one of those like animated, like you don't like to see it on the deck coaches. Like we were going insane because we thought she had it. And the last 10 meters they weren't bad. It just wasn't the same as the first 190. And she hit the wall and she missed the trial cut by, was it 11 or 12 100ths?
Yeah,
14.
14. It was something like that. It was something so close that both he and I fell to the ground because we both thought, oh my goodness. And she came out and kind of what we talked about one of the other calls. It was one of those, like the emotions got the best of her because she thought she had it. And yeah, it was the best swim of her life, but she wasn't satisfied with the best swim of her life, I guess is the way that I would describe it. So.
Right. So that ended your kind of age group portion of your swimming career. Then you went into high school that fall. Talk about the transition from that right into transition into high school swimming, which the vast majority of our kids do.
Can you say the question again? Sorry. The
I said, talk about transitioning into your freshman year of high school swimming. Something completely different than you've ever done before.
Okay. Well, I had the Bill Schultz as my high school coach.
What I'm talking about.
It was different. It was a lot more short, fast stuff, which I wasn't super used to. But trying to think, freshman year I swam the 2 IM and the 100 breaststroke. I want to say, I think so, at state and sectionals, and it wasn't too big of a transition. I don't think. I think the hardest part was the school. It wasn't the swimming part because Bill and Todd kind of similar boat, but yeah, the school I think was the hardest part. Going from public school to Rosary was my challenge.
What was the difference there?
Well, all girls. There was like 60 people in my class, and I came from like 1,000 people in my middle school in my class. So that was the big difference.
I think you made state in the 500 for your freshman year, wasn't it?
No, I think that was sophomore year.
Was it?
Mhm.
Okay.
Nice. So after you had been that close to trials the summer before, you coming off high school season, was trials in 2016 obviously a goal of yours heading into that next spring?
Yeah, it was a goal. So it was super hard when I didn't like I realized it wasn't gonna happen. But then that following summer, I like went under like once trials was over with and the pressure was off, I ended up going under all the cuts, which
So do you think, I mean, think about that training time, and one of the things about Sydney is I know she trains hard. She's a beast in practice. Do you think that, pushing yourself that spring to get the trials come before it happened, and then the pressure's off, trials has happened, and now there's no, like, do you think the pressure being off allowed you to relax and swim faster? Was that what the difference was?
yeah, I think it was. I was just like so set on those times, and once the like pressure was off, it just came so naturally, and I was having fun with it again.
So during that summer, then when you did have those big drops, that qualified you for in 2017 for World Championship trials.
Yeah, I did that at NCSA's. I like just went under it, like 300ths, I think, which was super fun because I felt like it was as close to trials as I could have gotten after missing it. So I was really excited about that.
So for those guys who are unsure, in the odd numbered years, there's usually world championships of swimming that happen in the odd numbered years in between every 4 years Olympics. So you would qualify for that. What was your cut in? What event?
The 200 breaststroke.
200 breast. Was that the only one you ended up making it?
Yeah.
Okay. So going back to high school, now you go into sophomore year of high school. Your team started really amping it up and being frankly pretty good. Talk about the team atmosphere there. Talk about, the expectations towards the end of the season of state trophy.
Yeah, so freshman year we won state. So then we were trying to go for the two-peat my sophomore year, but I was having a hard time because Alexis Yeager, who I think you guys talked to her. Yeah, you guys already had your meeting with, but she and Cameron and I were super close in the 200 IM, and I ended up not making the 200 IM spot, which I was bummed about, but I swam the 500 that year and did a lot better than I ever thought I could. So I was happy I had that chance.
So adaptability is important. That's where your team needed you to be. So throughout high school, what were your top finishes at state, like places?
I know I did freshman year. I think I got 4th, I want to say, in the 200 IM. And then I was always in the console heat for the 100 breaststroke. And then my senior year, actually, I didn't make it in the 100 breaststroke.
Oops.
Yeah. And then I made it in the 200 IM, and I second my senior year.
So let's talk about that. And I remember you didn't make the 100 breast your senior year. Talk about the disappointment and then having to turn around the next week and swim just the 200 IM.
Yeah, so I think I just went into it expecting, which probably isn't a way to look at it, but yeah, I qualified. The 200 IM was before the 100 breaststroke, so I got that one, and we were having fun, good time, and I didn't put a suit on or anything at sectionals, and I probably should have for the 100 breaststroke, and then I don't remember how much I missed it by, but I missed it, and then the following week we had state, and I just had the 200 IM to focus on, which I think helped during the brokens and stuff, because then I went a lifetime best time in the 200 IM, just having to focus on that one.
Excellent. So now your team won how many state titles while you were there?
3.
So you got a second place finish in an individual event, multiple high finishes. What was more fun? Standing up for those medals or having your whole team grab the team trophies 3 times?
Having the whole team grab the team trophy 3
I'm
times.
sure. So talk about that a little bit.
It was crazy. Well, they always messed with us at school. They're like, "Oh, the Rosary Beads have a swim team," because everyone talked about that's the only thing they ever talked about. But no, it was fun. The team was super close. Everybody knew that our swim team was super good, which was fun. We'd get teased, but it was good.
Excellent. So let's talk about the recruiting process. Through all this, you started the recruiting process. What parts of recruiting did you like?
I like the visits. I only did one actual official one. I did all my other ones unofficial. No, the visit part was super fun, just to go see the different campuses and realize what you actually wanted in a school once you went and saw the different ones.
What part of recruiting wasn't very fun?
When it came down to the end and they were giving offers and all that stuff.
Was it very, did you find it to be cutthroat? Did you find it to be, I mean, were coaches that you were dealing with, how they handle it way different, or was it very similar?
Each coach that I went through it with was a lot different, and like I know Arizona State didn't end up how I wanted, and then it came down to UCLA and Florida State at the end.
And then how did you decide, after all, you narrowed that all down, how did you end up deciding on Florida State?
I just really I didn't go on my official yet before I decided. It was just my unofficial, and the unofficial was different than all my other unofficial ones. Like the coaches took us around. They had already set up things for me to meet with the team. So it was super nice. Even though it was an unofficial visit, it felt like an official visit, and they just seemed very into it.
Awesome. So talk about your transition to college swimming. Do you feel your time at Bullets prepared you to be successful in college?
Yeah, I do. I ended up in I went for summer C, which is like the 6 weeks before my freshman year actually started, which I thought helped me a lot to transition. But I was in the distance group when I first got there, it was a lot of yardage, and it was doubles. It was summer, so we had doubles 3 times a week, and it was just a lot. But I feel like if I didn't have the Bullets training under my belt, I don't know if I would have made it through that distance group.
That's good. So what group are you in now?
I'm in middle distance now, and it was like right before I was supposed to go to NCAAs. We had to build back up after ACCs and build back down, and we did what, I can't remember the set exactly, but it was so similar to something Todd did, and I was the only one that actually was able to finish it with the intervals and everything, and I was just thinking about Bullets practice the whole entire time.
That's awesome. I put out there for you guys, her college coach is actually a close friend of mine, and so I know that she's transferred really well into there. You kind of answered the question I was going to ask, and that's talking about comparing Bullets training to your college training.
It helped a lot.
So your freshman, how did you like? I mean, did you like college swimming? Was it great? Was it fun?
Yeah, it was so much fun, and swimming outside was, Addison kind of prepared me for swimming outside, but it's so nice to swim outside all the time. But it does get cold in Florida. I didn't realize that. Like, I was like, oh, I'm not going to need to bring a winter jacket. Like, I'm in Florida, but Tallahassee got cold. Like, we were outside in the mornings. It was like 37 degrees. Like, it was cold.
It was literally my next question is going to be talking about swimming outside. So do you have a lot of meets outside as well? Like, how does that work you're an IM swimmer, obviously. How did that work for you?
Well, you got to get really tinted goggles for the backstroke. That was the rough part. But no, it didn't really, it's nice to breathe actual air while you're swimming.
After Marmion, I can understand that.
Hey.
Any pool, really. So you come in the fall, school-wise, how was that transition into college? Harder, more difficult, a little bit more flexibility?
Well, once again, Rosary really prepared me for that. Like, I was like, is this it? Like, is this all I have? Because I felt like I was nonstop doing schoolwork at Rosary, and I finally had time to it's not like I didn't have a lot of schoolwork, but I knew how to manage it with all the stuff I had before. And then it was easy to throw in a couple more practices a week. And it with the schedule and all the time slots, it was easy to fall into a nice pace.
Sure. So now most colleges will train all fall long. They'll usually have like a mid-season taper meet or a mid-season rest. What was your mid-season rest?
Our midseason was at Georgia Tech.
And how did that go for you? When was that? In November, right?
Yeah, it was right before Thanksgiving.
Sure.
It went okay. I wasn't super happy with my times, but it was a lot different taper. Like I was starting to do a different taper, new coaches. Like it was the first time we had rested, and it went okay. But then we did a longer version of that taper for ACCs, and I think it really worked having that for mid-season and like realizing what it was going to be different than what I was used to on club. But
Sure.
you just got to be open to it.
Sure. Well, I think the key thing right there is you've got to be open to change. You got to be open to different ideas from coaches. That's a great perspective. Now, you guys are already in Florida. You train in Florida outside in the sunshine, some cold sometimes. But did you guys go on a training trip?
Yeah, we
At
did.
Christmas
We
time?
went to South. Oh, sorry, what?
No, I
Okay.
said at Christmas time. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, we went to South Florida right before I came home for Christmas. We were there for 7 days, I want to say. We were trained at St. Andrews High School, and it was
Sure.
beautiful pool outside. But yeah, that was rough. That was a rough week. Doubles every day. We had one double off at night, and we did an ocean swim.
Oh,
That that was something else. I was like, oh, this can be like our easy recovery practice. The ocean swim is probably up there with one of the harder swims.
that's awesome. Now, did you guys do like dry land on the beach down there, stuff like that?
Yeah, we actually did this really cool. We went to this cycling studio. I can't remember what it was called, but it was super fun. We went, I want to say 3 or 4 times to the cycling place, but yeah, it was crazy. We had an awesome instructor. It was like an hour-long session, and then we went right to practice right after, which was hard after spinning.
Ouch. So, talk about dry land in college. Like, what do you guys do? What do you guys do for your dry land program in college?
So we had mix up the days. I think dryland we had Tuesday and Thursday, and then we had weightlifting Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And dryland was it was like 30 minutes, and it was like a lot of like those HIIT workouts. That's what it reminds me of, the high intensity interval training. So it was
Sure.
like the circuit, basically like what we would do on bullets. And then the weightlifting was the dryland part I was used to because we do that, but the weightlifting was the big difference that I faced.
So you come back from training trip. You guys are training through January, end of February, and ACCs. And in college, your championship meet is the big meet. What teams you're going for? You go to ACCs. Tell us about that meet. What'd you swim? How'd you do?
Oh, ACCs was so much fun. It was the first time we didn't go anywhere with the boys team because we have a combined program, which I thought was super fun because the girls team's super close. So we went there. We flew down. It was in Greensboro, North Carolina. So we went down there, and it was so much fun. The team's super close, like I said. And yeah, it was just good. It was a lot of good team bonding. And then I had the 200 breaststroke, 400 IM, and 200 IM was my lineup. The 200 IM was the first day, or my first day at least. And it didn't go as good as I had hoped. I don't know if I was right off my best time, and I just missed making it back to finals. So then I just kind of brushed it off because I knew I still had 2 races left. And then the next day was the 400 IM, and I swam in the morning, and it was a decent morning swim. I was happy with it. It was faster than I had went at mid-season, and I made it back. And so then at night, had some coffee. I was ready to go, and I dropped and went a best time by almost 3 seconds.
And what did that time end up doing for you?
It qualified me for NCAAs. I was super close. So it was very stressful. I had to go to a last chance meet the following weekend at the University of Georgia because we didn't know if I was going to make it or not. And I didn't end up going faster at the University of Georgia because I swam the 400 IM by myself, which I'd never done
Oh.
before. That was a whole new experience in itself.
I'm
But
sure.
yeah, but so I didn't go faster, but that trip was super fun. It was me and I think 6 other girls, and we stayed at like an Airbnb. Like it was super relaxed. But then that next, I think Tuesday or Wednesday after that weekend, it came out, and I was like second to last one in, I think. But leading up
But you
to
were
that,
in. That's awesome.
big
Congratulations.
ball of stress. Yeah, it was very relieving.
That's
It was so
awesome.
fun.
So that's awesome. You're celebrating, you're training, you're going back up, you're going to go to NCAAs, and then the gut punch comes.
Yep,
And like
that was
many kids on this call, you lost your biggest championship meet of the season. It was canceled. A lot of the guys, and almost everybody on this call, probably close to it, were in the same boat. How did you handle that disappointment?
It was rough. The boys were messing around about it the week, like that whole week leading up to it. They're like, what if we don't have NCAAs? What if we don't have NCAAs? And I like didn't even think about it. But once they started saying, I was like, what if we don't have NCAAs? And it was just kind of one of those things in the back of your head. You're like, it's not actually going to happen. And then I asked my group coach, and he was like, no, if anything, we'll just have like a closed seating, so no spectators will be able to come, but you'll still be able to swim. I was like, okay. And so then Thursday came, and it was like middle of practice, and you could tell everybody was acting, like all the staff was acting a little weird. I was like, oh no. We had a meeting before, and it was like, because we were supposed to go to Canadian trials right after NCAAs, and it was they were going to take a couple people to try to get their Olympic trial cut, and I was planning on going to that too. And yeah, before he's like, I don't know if we're going to be able to go to Canadian trials anymore. Like, this is getting out of control. Like, it just blew up in a matter of like 3 days. And so then we went and had practice. It was like mid-practice, and all the group coaches pulled their separate groups out and had meetings. And they told us all, and it was just like we kind of saw it coming from the beginning of practice how the meeting went, but I don't think anybody was really ready to hear the news.
Sure. So I got about 2 or 3 more questions for you I'm going to ask and get your advice for these guys. But then, Bullet, you guys have your questions ready? You can put them in the chat. Todd will help me out with that, or you can raise your hand on there, and Todd can help me call on you guys. So in just a few minutes, I'm going to open up to you guys, and I want you guys to take this over and talk directly to Sydney. All right. So Sid, a lot of younger Bullets on here. What piece of advice would you give to those younger kids? It's really they're early on in their swimming journey.
I would say listen to your coaches. Give your all at practice. Even when it gets really hard and you don't think you can do it. And yeah, just give it your all.
So then we're going to move that up towards the high school kids who maybe they're looking to go to college, whether they're being recruited or they're trying to sell themselves, be it whatever level they're going to be with D1, D2, D3, NAIA, junior college, doesn't matter. What suggestions do you give for them about the recruiting process?
I'm gonna say just try not to get super stressed. Like, it's easy to get super overwhelmed and stressed out about everything, but just as mellow as you can be about, not like ignore it, but just approach it as gently as you can, because it gets crazy if you let it get crazy.
That makes a lot of sense. And then as kids do get older and they're about to go away to swim to college, and they're going to head to their first year, wherever that may be, what's your advice for their transition into college and college swimming?
I'd say like the team aspect for me at least was like a big part of it. So just I know it's out of everybody's comfort zone, but it's like that for all the freshmen heading in there. So I say like be yourself, be just open to new friends, new experiences, new people, and just see where it goes from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We're going to open it up. I think Jess Geriani has a question. I see a hand up. Jess, you want to go ahead and join in? Talk to Sid?
Hi, Sid. What was the environment like at ACCs compared to like high school state and NCSAs?
Yeah, I feel ACC girl now. It was, I don't know how, like ACCs is all girls. I know SCC like does boys and girls together, but I don't know. High school, like IHSA, going to an all-girls school, like it felt normal. I don't know, like being all girls at the meet, but I don't know. It's every meet, like big meet, is stressful or is not stressful as you make it. So I think just have fun with it, and that they make the environment there easy to have fun.
Nice.
Brian, want me to go through these?
Yeah, go ahead, Todd.
We got Arun is next. Arun, I can unmute him.
What's your favorite event that you like to swim?
My favorite event is the 400 IM.
And who was your favorite coach during the Bullets time?
Oh, I don't want to hurt
Great
anyone.
question.
That's a rough question. I'm gonna say everybody.
That's okay. Let her rip.
They all had their different aspects that were good to them.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Joey.
Hi. How big is usually the college team, including boys and girls?
Well, we have I don't know if our team's bigger than normal, but I feel like our team's huge. But we have, I want to say about 30 guys and 30 girls. Maybe, I think there's a little bit more than that. I don't know the exact number.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right. Sarah Joss.
Hey sis, good to see you.
Hi,
I miss
Sarah.
you. How are you?
You too. Good. How are you?
Good. I had a question about the beginning of the recruiting process. How many schools did you have like on like your first list, and how did you like narrow it down to like Florida State?
Okay, I had like a list on my phone. Todd yelled at me because I just wanted to go to a warm school. I had like bad requirements at the beginning, but
Geography?
like I did it. But it ended up working out. But just be super open and just look at, like, college swimming's a really good tool to look at different schools at and like their times and all that stuff. So I say start like making a list on college swimming and don't just narrow it down to warm schools like I did. Keep an open mind.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Who else? Do you have any other questions out there? Coaches, you're welcome to chime in.
I want to know Sid's favorite Bullets memory.
Alex told me this was coming. I don't know. Probably swimming at Addison. I loved swimming at Addison.
Yeah.
You want to explain what swimming at Addison meant? I don't think a lot of these guys know what it means.
Okay, sorry. Swimming at Addison, so we had an outdoor pool for, was it 2 summers?
4, I think.
4?
Okay. Yeah, we had an outdoor pool. It was like 45 minutes away. It was super fun. But yeah, we went there for morning practice, and we were there for an afternoon practice. The afternoon practice was my favorite because we got to get tan, but no, Addison was just super fun. It was a lot different environment. It was fun to switch it up.
I agree. I loved going to Addison. Plus, it was only 10 minutes from my house.
Even with Todd's monkey bar dryland that you guys had to do at Addison.
Running with the snorkels, that was the fun part. I think about that all the time. I thought about doing that. I brought my equipment back home. I'm like, should I go run around the block with my snorkel on? I'm probably gonna get weird looks though.
Sid, I have a question. What was the most difficult bullet set you ever did?
Oh, the FML set.
So, would you like to explain what the set was?
Oh, I don't even know. I think I tried to block it out of my mind. It was, what was it, a mile? And then it was a 400 IM, just one? And then a 200 butterfly?
3, right?
Are you asking or are you telling?
I'm asking.
It was 3 200s butterfly.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
And then a 400 IM and then a mile. And you did that 4 times, Todd? And the
Yeah.
200s changed stroke by IM order.
Yeah, it took 3 hours. We didn't get a warm-up or anything, right? We just went straight into it.
Yeah, it's good times. Now,
I think that was by choice. I think you chose to do that, if I remember too.
correct. I remember that.
Yeah,
So
probably.
what do you remember what your hardest college set has been so far?
Definitely that one I was telling you guys about that I said I thought about my bullets training afterwards. I'm trying to think what it was exactly, but it was like I should text my coach and ask him what it was, but it was a ladder of some sort, but it was a lot of, it went down. When it went down, the intervals were, no, it started low and went higher as it was going down, but the intervals were like mild. And then when it went, you started like the same. I'm not probably not making any sense right now, but we were like went up to like an 800 IM, but it was frim. We did a lot of frim. It was an 800 frim, and then it went down back to like a 200. But when it went back to 200 from starting from the middle, it got a lot faster. Like the intervals on the way back up
Sure.
or down, up. I don't know. Anyway, it was a ladder of some sort, and that was definitely the hardest one.
What was your favorite part of high school swimming?
Favorite part of high school definitely was the taper. The tapers on high school was super fun.
Nice.
Brian, we got another
Arun, you have
question.
another question? Yeah,
Yep.
Arun, go ahead.
Do you prefer outside pools or inside pools?
Definitely outside pools.
Nice. Guys, we have time for more questions. Who else wants to ask Sid a question?
Joey's got another one.
Okay, go ahead, Joey.
When you're talking about that's like the set that was like a ladder, what's a frim?
Frim is when you do freestyle instead of the butterfly part, which is a lot nicer than actual IM. Yeah.
Okay.
Jenna Kroll.
Excuse me.
What is something in college that you like, I guess maybe weren't prepared for or like kind of caught you off guard, like when you went to college or was different than what you were used to?
Hi Jenna, that was a good question.
Okay.
Definitely we had those optional doubles in the morning when I was younger at the beginning of high school, but there's definitely like the 3 doubles a week, the weightlifting, it was just the mass amount of practices. Like I thought I was doing a lot of swimming before, but college is a lot of swimming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Sydney, I'm gonna ask you a question. Now that you've gone through a year of college, what is something that you know now that you wished you would have focused on more when you were younger?
Oh, that's a good question. Definitely technique. The coach I have now, it was his first year. His name's Dan Kessler. He came from Arizona State, but he did a lot of technique work, and I needed the technique work. Like I'd always just like go, like he'd even tell me to slow down sometimes, and I was just like so taken off guard because I'd never been told to like slow down before, but it was just like slowing down and actually paying attention to what I was doing, and I think that helped me a lot.
Nice. Lauren O'Connor, why don't you come on and go ahead and ask Sydney your question?
Okay. Hi.
Hi, Lauren.
Do you have any advice for going into Rosary?
For going into Rosary, that one also like I can't. So that's like another thing, like being open, like teammates, like friendship, all that stuff is what gets you through the hard times. So I know I didn't know, like I knew the swimmers going into it, but like meeting the new people from the class who like weren't necessarily athletes or swimmers, that was my big thing, because they all came from like the local private school, so they had their friend groups already. So trying to like get into the friend group, I think, was the hardest part. But once you make your friends, it's super good. Like I've still talked to all my friends from Rosary, especially the ones that weren't swimmers too. It's super fun.
All right, you got one from Grace Hagemaster. Grace, can you unmute yourself?
Okay, so besides the climate, which you mentioned that you looked for in schools, like what were some of the key factors in deciding where you were going to go, and like what did you look for in the schools?
So I was looking for a like family, like close-knit environment, because I knew I was going to be spending a lot of time with the swim team and swimming. So I wanted to look for people who I thought I would get along with and who like had the same values and goals that I did. And that's where I got me where I was.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Are you happy there?
Yes, I'm very happy.
Jenna Kroll.
Do you think that your transition into like coming from a large high school to a small high school, do you think kind of how you went about that, do you think that helped you then with your transition into college?
Yeah, I think it helped because I went from, I mean, I wasn't a lot of kids at my middle school, but the 65 back to like a 45,000 people school. I mean, college is big. I mean, most places you go, so I see a new face every day. Like, it doesn't really bother me. You hang out with the people you hang out with.
Cool.
How are the football games there?
Oh, so much fun. I'm still learning football. They'll be like, there's another Florida State first down. And you like say it, but I have no idea what it means. You guys are probably all going to be like, oh, you don't know what first down is, but you say it. And I don't know. The football games are fun. I'm still learning.
Nice. That's funny. They actually had a good basketball team this year, too.
Yeah, the basketball team was really good. This is for you, Glenn.
Mm-hmm. This is Knowles Nation, Glenn, for today. Guys, got any other questions? Bullets?
Sid, did you ever get in any trouble when you were on bullets?
Yeah.
Anything that, care to
Could you
share?
expand on that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I got yelled at a lot, practice-wise, all sorts of things.
Yeah, but you realize everybody gets yelled at the equal amounts, right?
Yeah.
No.
I have a favorite Sid memory I'll share, and that I was lucky enough to coach Sid with bullets and rosary, and Todd, Bill, and myself were always, I don't want to say giggle or make fun of the situation, but we're all looking forward to Sid moving on to rosary and having Bill for her head coach. And I'll never forget the first day of dryland with rosary.
Oh God.
I probably still have a picture in my phone, but it was in the gym at Marmion, and Sid was literally crawling on her hands and knees, and Bill standing over her, telling her to be better. And she did it with a smile on her face and basically laughed the whole way through it, but did whatever she was asked.
It was bear crawls, and she couldn't figure out how to which hand to move with which leg, and we were doing lateral bear crawls, and she just couldn't. She would move her hands this much and her feet this much, so she was kind of going in a circle. So
yeah, it was a fun
Joey Dumb's got another question. Joey.
Did you miss your sister when you went to college?
No.
Oh, I think Reese is on. I mean, yeah, I missed her. Sure, we'll leave it at that.
The safe answer.
What makes you feel better?
Sydney, this is recorded.
Funny.
We can actually show it to Reese now that you've said that you missed her while you were in college.
So, Sid, swimming is a tough sport. It's a hard sport. You have to stay motivated, stay focused. Was there ever a time you wanted to quit? That you're like, I'm done with this?
The middle of practice all the time when you're crying in your goggles. You finish. Once you finish and you actually do the set, you feel so much better than the middle of the set when you're like, I can't do this. But it's when you finish the actual set, you're like, okay, that was stupid. I don't know why I was so mad about that. But yes, there's been plenty of times.
Now, see, Brian, Sydney says that, and for the swimmers on the call that don't know Sydney, like she was one of the toughest kids at practice that you could ever see. And
Yep.
I think that those of us that have coached her, Bill and Glenn and I, can say that when Sydney was in a race, she's never out of the race because she's just tough and she finds ways to get her hands on the wall. So one of her last races on bullets, she touched somebody out by hundreds because she found a way to get her hand on the wall. So yeah.
Any more questions, guys and girls?